In the olden days, people were divided primarily by power. This occurred in the Middle Ages. The feudal system was how people were governed in most of Europe. According to dictionary.com, it was created in the year 1066 by William the Conqueror, King of England. William the Conqueror started the feudal system because people would always argue about who should take over what. In the Middle Ages, money wasn't a key factor, as it is in the present, but back then, it was all about land and their power. The feudal system states the power of individuals. People really did rely on this by a lot, since they barely had anything to govern themselves by. The article from historyonthenet.com states the feudal system had been used in France by the Normans from the time they had first settled there in about 900 AD. The feudal system ranked people by their power. This is shown in a pyramid. The pyramid shows that the king comes first, then the nobles, knights, and peasants. This system is typically like a chain. The king gives land to the nobles give money and knights to the king, the nobles give land to the knights give protection to the nobles, the peasants give food and services to the knights, and the knights give protections to the peasants. ElizabethanEra.org.uk states that Edward Ellen, Henry Condell, William Shakespeare, Richard Burbage, and John Hemmings were all famous actors in the Elizabethan era. Actors in this era were not respected and were even mentioned as villains. This was because acting was not a big profession back then, unlike this generation. Actors were known as yeomans. That being said, playwrights aren't yeomans too. They were more respected than the actors and wealthier. The reason behind this is that the Middle Ages were the most popular for their plays. Playwrights were famous in the Middle Ages. Shakespeare was both an actor and a playwright. He was a successful man, and most people would even call him the greatest dramatist. Because of Shakespeare's greatest accomplishments, he was a merchant. Yet, Shakespeare's father wasn't as rich as Shakespeare. He was a glove maker and was placed in a lower class. Lower classes had pretty rough life. They had to work as servants or laborers. The Elizabethan social class is similar to the feudal system. You could say that this is a newer version of the feudal system that people used around Europe. The LostColony.org points out the Elizabethan era is known as an English history where Queen Elizabeth I reigned. The Elizabethan era embraces a lot of theater. In theaters, people who were higher in the Elizabethan social class would get better seating areas, since they had more power than the others. According to the Western Reserve Publicmedia.org, the Roman Catholic Church was one of the most unifying elements in the Middle Ages. Everyone from every class were affected by the ruling of the church. People had to pay intense taxes to support the church, and in return of the money, everybody received happiness and the way to everlasting life, as people's lives were hard and rough. As it is known, the church was very important. The children were even taught how to respect and pray every week. The church was not the only important thing in the Middle Ages. The kings or queens were really important. According to the feudal system, kings and queens are the most powerful human beings in the Middle Ages because they own huge amounts of lands, they are rich, and they have a great amount of power to rule people. The feudal system overall was a great resource for the people in the Middle Ages. Because of this, there were fewer riots and arguments.